Well, good afternoon, folks. It is Shooter. Hey, we're going to go over Bitcoin, look at the waves, see what we see. After this presentation, please do review our disclosures. Let's first take a look at Kirk's chart. As far as the retest, yeah, it's very viable. I question whether or not it's going to be on the primary wave or the cycle wave. So let me jump into that. So I got a bunch of stuff here on the chart. This support zone is important to us. Let me just extend that out, and then I'm going to back it out. So we sort of are going into that now. We haven't really shot above that. 32,150 cents is the most important line to me because this is our push up. This is our lowest corrective bar with our off number, which is our close. So that's our weekly off number, 32,150 cents. That's very important. We tested it again. It's basically been there. We don't really have an off number here to reference to. So if we get rejection, it'll be at that 32,100. But let me back off with this so we have a clean spot to look. Actually, let me put it back. I wanted to look at the daily on that. And I want to talk about euphoria. Okay. In looking at, this is euphoric. This is euphoric. This is euphoric. This is meandering. Slow grind lower, slow grind higher to the top side up there. All right. So, there's a different attitude that a tape has. And if you look at Bitcoin, we have this push, euphoric push, balanced corrective leg, but it's shallow of 50% back, euphoric. So it's building to that further thrust. Now, we had a thrust up to our high around 64,960. And then we back tested 50% technical. Now we don't have the same slope of hope as that first drive. A little less enthusiastic, but we still had the pushes. They just weren't as deep, as big a candles. See how they're slenderer candles versus the push candles. And then, we put in our all-time high at, I believe, 62,211.50. And then we broke down in a more of a meandering breakdown. However, we did have one very euphoric candle down. Once we broke the 50% level, you get that push towards the 78.6. I'm not measuring those just for time, but that's where our fibs come in to tell us what our tape is doing. So if we come in and we measure our leg up, let's go from our low to our high. And I'm just going to walk through this each leg so you understand what I mean. So 50% back is the top of our resistance channel, 34,406. We came back and tested the 618. One reason I use the 50% is because there's a greater odds that's going to hit than the 61.8. So I'm right more. So I would rather be right more than wrong more. So now at the same time, on the advance, just measuring that single leg, once we get above that 50%, so, we blew past that 50%, now that opens up a continuation. So we're looking at these different legs, and let's just come back down here. So our first leg from our low to wave one, we back tested the 78.6. We went through the 50, went through the 61.8. So that was a rejection in many ways that still recovered. We had a low, a higher low, higher high. So we're clearly in an uptrend. Now I need to come down to the weekly here to measure this next leg for you. So what I want to do is measure our move from our base to corrective leg. So if let me back up for a second. I skipped one. All right. So on our cycle wave, this entire leg from C to 1, right? Our corrective leg came back and hit the 50%, but didn't quite hit the 61%. Now, if we look at our leg from wave C to our primary wave 1, notice how we haven't back, we got diddly, shallow, 23.6. That's euphoric to me. This occurring at this support zone, a resistance zone, is very important to me to the euphoria to the upside. So this demeanor has changed here. This is different than here. It's much more euphoric here. See how we have less of a slope of hope than here? See how that slope just accelerated there? Then we've put in this nice flat. Now we're digesting the top of the channel on the cycle wave. So I suspect wave 3 becomes elongated, because right now the count is suggesting that it's shallower than wave 1. I would think that we become elongated, maybe something like that, maybe towards that 35, and the whole leg steps up again. That's my thought from the way the count looks. However, where would we retrace the most likely? So if we measure the current count on wave 3, so our back test 50% is 29,720, the bottom of the support and resistance channel, or the 61.8. Those are probably the most likely place that it'll backtest. But it also is probably a higher likelihood that we stay between the 23.6 and the 3.82 here on the 3, because it becomes a more euphoric leg up. Now, what I will say is I think our drawdown is going to come down off of this wave 3. Now, I'm going to say this with motive wave. I can't tell you the number of times I've thought we're going to get a drawdown, and it comes in shallow when we're pushing, when we're euphoric. So I spend a lot of time thinking about that and how I'm structuring my trades there, because I've missed so many entries that I wanted to take. And at the end of the day, where am I wrong? A close below 26,491.90. That becomes our stop. That's our long stop. That's the way it is. Until we close below that, we're long. Right? Really, this too has to change for us to see any dramatic drawdown here. And it's not likely that it occurs because we're too far into the pattern. So I think it occurs up at 35,414, not at this 32,948.20. I just don't see it happen. And when I throw in, our overlays as far as harmonics are concerned, we don't actually see anything aggressive except for on our weekly. So we have nothing on our daily. We don't recognize anything. On our 4-hour, we do see some downside here. So this is recognize this as drive 1 and drive 2 on the 4-hour. That puts us down between 27,900 and 26,770. However, that 2 has to be taken out. Again, that 2, a close below 26,491, needs to be taken out. Sorry, it was way over on the left side of the chart, which is why I couldn't see it. So this needs to be taken out for us to really see any downside. So we could backtest to that 27,904, the 26,774, and it not take out that stop. And then we continue. Now, the one thing about harmonic patterns is they're not as consistent as some other things to look at. However, I do use them to get a visual on where we could go if we get euphoric. And that's really the main reason why I want to look at it. So that's what I have, folks. Great trading. Until next time.